Hola mis amigos, impossible amigas, my name is Taffrey16, and welcome to The Sims 3. Now, here's the thing. I've been streaming this on Twitch, as of late, for like the last month, and on one file, and what we have built up is the Reaves family, and if you have not been to Twitch streams, it is a tale to tell. So, here I'm gonna now give you basically, for those of you who haven't been to live streams, basically a complete rundown of the history of the Reaves family. So it started with this man right here, Blade. Let me bring you to the family tree. Okay. There we go. So it started with Blade. Blade was a young man who had great ambitions in life. He also hated children, as you can see by his traits. The thing about Blade, you may not know though, is that he was a whore. So Blade first married a girl named Molly, and had a kid named Molly named Becky. However, Blade, being a whore, then cheated on Molly with a woman named Tamara. Tamara and Blade then married and had 3 kids, named Bert, Kai, and Nick. Blade was also a book writer. He wrote almost 100 books, some of them about his children because he hated them. Eventually, though, Tamara passed away at age 90, and Blade passed away at age 97, and the household was taken over by his good Christian man son, Bert. The other kids, Becky, Nick, and Kai, did not have kids. Nick had a girlfriend at one point, but Becky and Kai never even got into relationships. Kai was the last to die out of the 4, by the way. Bert was the only one to keep the family going into the 3rd generation, and he had 4 kids. Nolan, Martina, Ryan, and Vince. Vince, Ryan, and Martina being triplets. So here is where it starts to get interesting. Into the 3rd generation. Bert was a good Christian man. He really was. And not all his kids were, though. Nolan is still alive, just living his best life, trying to be a journalist. Ryan is now a retired sports player. Martina is a roadie, and Martina has a boyfriend named Rocky Curry, who is in the military, and they have 2 kids, Kizzy and Janine. Now, we get to this ghost over here. His name is Vince. And if you thought that Blade was a whore, Vince was the whoriest whore to ever whore. Because Vince made the incredible accomplishment of having 11 kids with 6 different women. It all started with Roberto, who he had with Penny Espinosa. Roberto has a girlfriend right now. He recently moved out of the house. Then he had twin daughters, Shanita and Fawn, with Leslie Nix. Then, after Shanita and Fawn were born, he had Cleveland with Lydia Wollombi. Then, he had twin daughters, again, in Rosemary and Daphne. Daphne and Rosemary both moved out. Daphne's now a test subject. Rosemary, on the other hand, is following through in her father's footsteps as a hoe, as she broke up the family of Renee Deaton and got impregnated by him and had the first kid of the 5th generation, named Robbie. Then, he had Rodolfo with Jamie Fisher. I should also mention Rosemary what's his name? Rosemary and Daphne were with a woman named Maggie. Now here's where it gets more interesting. So, he had cheated on Maggie for a while, continued to cheat on Maggie, but then he decided to cheat on Maggie with Maggie's own sister, Vicky. Maggie and him divorced. Vince and Vicky got married, and Vince and Vicky had 3 more kids. Malena, who's still in high school, Scorpion, who's still in high school, and Jade, who's also still in high school. Then, Vince, not letting the past be the past, decided to knock up Maggie one more time. And had a third kid with her, 11th overall, named Jackie, who was also still in high school. So you're probably wondering then, why is Vince a ghost? Well, one day, Vince bought a juice maker because he thought he wanted to learn the skill of stomping grapes. And he was tinkering with it. And it shocked him once, but he didn't think much of it, so he kept tinkering with it. And then it shocked him again. And that shock killed him. He was electrocuted as a young adult by a juice maker. And that was the end of Vince, leaving his 11 kids behind. 6 of whom at the time lived in the house with Vicky. Vicky wasn't the mother to all of them, but she was in charge of all of them now. So what did Vicky do? Now, Vince always had a terrible relationship with his twin brother Ryan, and the reason for that is because Ryan was dating at the time was dating Maggie. Vince, before cheating on Maggie for her own sister, stole Maggie away from Ryan. And yeah, so that's why they had bad blood. But Ryan then, in the ultimate act of revenge, got with Vicky and married her, and Ryan raised the rest of Vince's kids. And that is the story of my Sims for so far. As you can see, there's the man who started it all, Blade. Who else is in the house right now? There's Becky. There's Blade's son, Bert. Bert's son, Ryan, is right there as well. He's a karate master, as you can't see. Ryan himself doesn't have any kids, but Vince does. Obviously, as we just told you. And here is the graveyard. This was Tamara. She died at 90. Blade at 97. Mindy died at 92. Bert at 94. Do not know the ages and deaths of the rest of these because they only tell you ages when Sims become an elder. And these 3 weren't living in a house at the time. But this is Nick, Becky, Kai, and then Vince. And Vince's... What does Vince's grave read? You fucking idiot. Oh, and yes, the man's Vince electrocuted himself. But now, Vicky and Ryan have become elders. The 3rd generation is on its way out. The 4th generation is rising. I believe Scorpion, who is also a karate master in training, is a man I'm planning to be the one to take over the next generation in this household. Scorpion becomes an adult in 2 days, as does Milena, his twin. Jade, the youngest, is not become an adult for another 7 days. Scorpion already accomplished his lifetime wish. Perfect mind, perfect body. He's not even an adult yet, so he can really do whatever he wants with life. It will be interesting to see. Depending on how much farther I go with this Sims, family, I might make another video in the future updating you on what has happened since. But if you want to see what happens in real time, be sure to check me out at Taffrey16 on Twitch. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This has been the story of the Reaves family. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.